This is a preparation for our Valentine's event that we're going to be hosting on Valentine's at 6 p.m. Pacific time, I believe it is. So we're going to be talking to Jeff from Gin Lane 1751 about the history of pink gin. He's going to offer some really cool insights there. And also making 3 cocktails, 3 just kind of classic gin cocktails. So the first cocktail we're going to be making is the Negroni, which is just an absolute staple for classic gin cocktails. The second one, I think, is one of the most underrated drinks when it comes to gin, and that is a salty dog. It is very refreshing and very delicious, so we'll be making that. And finally, probably one of the most famous gin drinks out there, besides the martini, arguably, is the Clover Club. So those are the 3 drinks that we're going to be making. So if you want to RSVP for the event, so you get notifications, the shopping list, the tools that we're going to need, and basically just be prepared for the event, definitely head on over to abarabove.com/Valentine, no S, and you can sign up for the event and get all the information you're going to need to really have some great cocktails. Also, I believe during the leading up to Valentine's, we have the copper bar tools on sale over on our website at shop.abarabove.com. There is a coupon code there. It's 14% off because Valentine's lies on the 14th. So we thought that was kind of fun. But you can find the coupon code on the website as well. So you can get all the tools you need in preparation for the event. So like I said, we're going to be making a couple of ingredients in preparation for the event. The 2 ingredients that we're going to need is simple syrup and a raspberry syrup. So that's what we're going to be doing today, is making those 2 ingredients. So let's go ahead and get started. I think hopefully most people probably know how to make simple syrup. It is exactly as simple as it sounds. Basically, we're just going to be making equal portions of water and sugar. Now, most people just kind of measure it out with a measuring cup, and that's totally fine. It's going to get you close. But in the restaurant world, we typically weigh all of our ingredients. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to make a small batch here and start with my sugar. So I have 100 grams of sugar here. I'm just going to put that right into a mason jar. This is how easy it is. I'm going to follow that up with 100 grams of water. Perfect. Actually, a little bit high, so I'm going to just pour some out. Now, this doesn't need to be dead on perfect, but get really close as much as you can. And I'm going to go ahead and seal this up. And I'm just going to shake this. Now, you can put it in a microwave for 30 seconds if you want. You can put this on a boiler and just kind of dissolve the sugar. But I found that this is pretty much good enough. And I'll come back to it a couple times and just dissolve the sugar. That's all you're looking for, is for all the sugar to be dissolved. So I'm just going to set that right there. That's as simple as it is to make for simple syrup. So it lives up to its name for sure. So the next ingredient that we're going to be making is the raspberry syrup. And we can do this a couple different ways, but what I have here is a pot of hot water. It's got 400 grams of water, and to it I'm going to be adding 500 grams of raspberries. Now you have a couple choices. You can get frozen raspberries, or you can get fresh raspberries. I don't know where you live, but for me, raspberries aren't in season right now. It's January, so most likely these are coming from somewhere else in the world. So I'm actually going to choose to go with the frozen raspberries. This is a little hack that I picked up from David Arnold. I was in one of his conferences. I can't remember. I think it was San Antonio, and he brought this up that if you're out of season, one of the best options you have for creating really flavorful syrups when it comes to fruit is to buy frozen, because it is frozen at the peak of its ripeness, right? So with anything else, they have to worry about spoilage and all that, but with frozen produce, frozen fruit, it is frozen immediately, and it has a lot of great flavor. So I'm going to add to my 400 grams of water, I'm going to add 500 grams of raspberries here. There we go. That's about 200. And I'm going to finish this off here. Perfect. All right. Pretty close. So I'm just going to go ahead and start boiling that now. It's going to get a little bit loud here, and I apologize. And basically what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and let that boil for about 10 minutes or so. And what we're looking for is the raspberries to start breaking down and basically just kind of turning more syrup-like. Now, if you've noticed, I haven't added any sugar here, and you totally could. You can add sugar now and just kind of boil it down and adjust it as you see fit. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and boil this, turn this into more of kind of a raspberry flavored water, a pretty intense raspberry flavored water, and then we're going to add the sugar to that. And what we're going to do is if we have, let's say, 500 grams of raspberry water, we're going to add 500 grams of sugar, and that'll give us basically our raspberry simple syrup. Now, with anything seasonal, even with frozen stuff, you do have to account for kind of adjustments in flavor, right? Sometimes raspberries can be a lot more acidic. That's one of the things that people love about raspberries is they pack a really big punch with acid, and sometimes they may just be way too sweet. So you can adjust a little bit of the flavoring from the sweetness level this way as well. So that's what we're going to be doing. I apologize for the noise. This is a little bit loud on the induction burner, but I'm just going to go ahead and stir this up a little bit. And go from there. And also, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. But like I said, you can RSVP for the event over at abarabove.com/Valentine. And that will give you all the information you need. Like I said, the shopping list, the list of tools that you'll need, and the time for the event, which is 6 p.m. on Pacific. So yeah, definitely head on over to abarabove.com/Valentine, no S. And for the tools, shop.abarabove.com, where we have all of our copper stuff on sale at 14% off. And the code is on there as well. Now, hey guys, how you doing? I see Hino in there. It's good to see you. But yeah, so we're just getting ready for the Valentine's event and kind of going from there. So let's see, what else? Now, gin cocktails. I love gin cocktails. I think it's probably one of my favorite. I say this all the time, but it's one of my favorite base spirits. It really packs a punch. It brings so much flavor. And it's basically kind of a grown-up vodka, right? Vodka or gin is what vodka kind of grows up to be. So as far as a base spirit, I find it really interesting. There's many, many different types of gin out there. I'm really looking forward to, or I'm really excited about some of the new Western style ones out there. They're a little bit more citrus focused. And I will say that this one here is really good. And with the pink gin that we're going to be using, it has a little bit more of a bitter presence to it. It's really interesting in cocktails, and I'm really excited to use it in a Negroni. So if you like stuff that has a little bit of a bitter edge to it, I definitely recommend trying this one in your cocktails from here on out, because it does have kind of a nice little bitter note for it as well. Oh, so Hino asked a really good question, and that is, what is one of the bottles I'm most proud of? And it's really fun. It's really interesting. So there's a lot of really good stuff on here. The one I'm probably most proud of, as you can see, we have a pretty significant lineup of Patron here. So I was one of the bartenders that went down to Patron Factory. Well, I think I was one of the first batches of bartenders to go down there, and it was a fun trip. I think a lot of you have probably taken that trip if you're in the United States, part of the USBG. They have a really great kind of outreach through the USBG, but then we did a bunch of events for them. So as a result, I have kind of, I think, the entire lineup as far as the base spirit goes, and a lot of the liqueurs. So there's definitely a lot of fun ones here. And the Camus, the line of Camus Cognac, we did an event with them a long time ago, and they have some really beautiful cognacs, especially for the price. I think they do a really great job for that. So that is definitely some of my favorites. Let's see. Hey, Liz, how you doing? says, I use gin way more than any other base spirits. It's so versatile. And I agree with you. I really do. I think gin just brings so much interesting flavor to a cocktail that a lot of other base spirits don't. They all have their own kind of vein and own kind of feeling to them when they come to a cocktail, but I find gin to be incredibly versatile. So yeah, let's check on this raspberries. And as you can see, we're starting to bubble here. And a little note, I just got this induction burner yesterday, so I'm still getting used to it. So sorry if you hear a little bit of a hum in the background. I wasn't expecting it, but it's pretty cool. I get to use it on my bar top, and I get to use it on videos. So I'm pretty excited about that. But it is starting to bubble. You can see some of the steam coming up. So I think we are definitely looking pretty good here. Let's see what else. Yes, Liz said, thank you for the tip on Camus. It's my sidecar go-to now. And it's so true. It really is such a great price point. It's one of the things I really find with cognac, specifically cognac. If you want to use a cognac in cocktails for like a sidecar or even like a cognac Manhattan or anything like that, the VS lineup is so intense. It's so hard. It's not very polished, and it really is hard to blend with in a cocktail. But the Camus, for the price point, like I said, it's really nice. It has some great weight. It tastes like it's been aged really well, so it doesn't have that kind of rough burn that like a VS cognac is going to have. I really do enjoy it. Let's see. Eno has another question or a comment. It says, the world of gin is so creative, more than any other spirit, in my opinion. And what's really fun about gin is how many different expressions gin has, right? I get crazy excited about gin when I talk about it, because we all know kind of, here we go, we're boiling now. See, I get so excited and so distracted about it that I forget that we're actually here to make some raspberry syrup. But there are so many different expressions of gin. I think most of us know London dry style gin, which is really intense on the juniper side. It's really just, it's kind of like drinking a Christmas tree. It was the first time somebody explained it to me. And it really is. It's really piney and resiny, especially when you go with some really intense gins, like Tanqueray, which is one of my favorites. But it is really piney and resiny, and it's really intense. But there is such a wide spectrum of styles of gin. I mentioned Western style gin, new Western style gin, like Hendrick's and a lot of the kind of micro gin distilleries out there. And they're doing some really fun stuff. They're using classic botanicals, but they're backing down some of the juniper, so it's not so resiny, it's not so piney, it's not so kind of in your face, and it's much more intricate. So yeah, if you guys have a favorite gin that you love, definitely type it in the comments for sure. And we haven't even talked about Genevers and about the different styles of Genevers, and there are so many different cool expressions of gin. As you can tell, I really do love it. And so yeah, we'll learn some more about the different styles and the cool history of pink gin during the event. But I think we're looking pretty good as far as the raspberry syrup goes. And so now we're just kind of boiling away some of the water. We're kind of breaking down that syrup. And getting closer. Let me see if I have a spoon here. I can taste it. So I don't have a spoon, but I do have a spurtle. This is a gift my wife gave me, and it's basically kind of a wood spoon, but it's got a fun name, spurtle. I guess it's kind of a culinary trend that's coming back right now. My wife got it for me, and she kept egging me on, like, oh man, your spurtles are coming, your spurtles are coming. And I had no idea what it was. But they really are pretty fun, pretty useful, and they're fun to say. So I'm just going to go ahead and taste this real quick. Obviously looking pretty hot. Yeah, so we'll condense this a little bit more. It's still a little bit watery, so we'll bring out some of the water, boil it down a little bit. But the sharp acidity from the raspberries there, the fruitiness of the raspberries definitely there. And then once it gets a couple more minutes, we'll boil out some of this water, and then we'll just kind of fine strain it and move on. So as we were mentioning, plenty of options in the gin world. And then I think one of my most interesting bottles that I have up here that's really hard to find. Excuse me, I'm going to walk off camera here real quick, potentially. is this bottle here. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but this is Riga's Black Balsam. It's nearly impossible to find. It's really, really super intense. And there was, I believe this is a product of Latvia, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, Latvia. And imagine like the most intense version of Fernet or an Amaro. It is really, really intense, super bitter, super dry, and a little bit definitely goes a long way. It's probably one of my more obscure bottles I have in my collection, but it is really fun to add just a little bit into a cocktail and see how that kind of changes things. It's a lot of fun. Ask what is my ratio for raspberries to water? So typically it's like almost 1-to-1. I think I put a little bit more water in this version, but typically it's pretty close to 1-to-1, maybe drop down the water a little bit. So 500 grams of raspberries, use about 400 grams of water. And then, so like I said, now I have a little bit more water. I'm kind of dropping down or boiling out some of the water. So that'll give you a really nice kind of flavorful, really intense raspberry flavor in your syrups. So let's try this one more time. Just going to try it in here. Yeah, I think we're there. It's got a really nice, beautiful raspberry flavor. Nice and fresh. The berries are berry notes are there, but that acid from the raspberries is definitely kind of forefront. So I'm going to go ahead and add. Let's see. We'll aim for about 250 grams of this syrup. I'm going to try not to get it everywhere. So far, I'm really liking the induction burner, though. That's a lot of fun. Perfect. We're at just over 200 grams. And there's definitely a lot more in there, but just get this thing moving. So we have about 200 grams, and I'm going to add about 200 grams of sugar to this. And that should give you a really nice kind of balance on your syrup. And this should make a really beautiful Clover Club. So like I mentioned before, this is all in preparation for our Valentine's event that we're going to be doing on the 14th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. If you want to RSVP for the event, you can find the RSVP over at abarabove.com/Valentine, no S. And like I mentioned, you can find a list of all the ingredients that you're going to need, a list of all the tools. And if you need some bar tools and you like copper like this, you can head on over to our shop over at shop.abarabove.com, and we have a 14% off coupon code now. And you can get all your bar tools for the event as well. So that's pretty much it. That is my raspberry syrup. And look how beautiful that is. It is just, I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but it is really, really beautiful. It's kind of like a ruby red color to it. And I'm excited to use this for the Clover Club and the event we have on the 14th. So hopefully you guys will join us. Definitely go check it out on the website. And we'll answer a lot of questions. We'll have some fun. I believe Julia is going to be joining us online, so feel free to heckle us on the 14th as well. But we'll learn a little bit about Gin Lane 1751, the history of pink gin, and make 3 really, really fun cocktails during the event. So hopefully we'll see you there. I'm going to check the comments one last time and go from there. So let's see. Liz says, I'm lucky to live where there's a small distillery. They do a really good London dry style gin, Goodland gin. Well, we'll have to check that out. Botanist, Hendricks, Calroon, all fantastic ones. Yes, I agree with you. Scottish gins are pretty amazing. So thank you, Liz. But we will see you guys on the 14th, I hope. But that is how you make simple syrup for the event, and also a really beautiful raspberry syrup as well. Cheers, everyone, and see you soon.